All right, welcome to That's the Thing. I'm your host, Lawler. With me is Johnny Boy and Quinn. This is a weekly podcast where we discuss comparative topics in the Rocket League community. We are on week 14. Each week, we're joined by a special guest. This special guest week is Rizzo from Take 3, no longer Take 2. But we talk about gossip, latest news, things that are relevant to the community, and then we also try to give stuff back to you guys as well, because at the end of the day, that's what the thing is about. We always follow up at the end of the show with Community Rising Stars, where we show community content, and then we finish off with a live Q&A, so make sure you guys stick around to the end for that. But on this week of That's the Thing, we're back at it, RLCS. We had our qualifiers. We now know who is in the league play, which has been extended this season, which I cannot wait for, to see these guys play over the course of like 5-6 weeks, rather than just the 2. And then we are also going to interview Rizzo. We are going to basically berate this guy with questions from...
Break him.
We're gonna make him cry.
We're gonna
That's the
break
plan.
him.
That's the plan. Poor little Rizzo
That's
doesn't know what he's like. Yeah, I'll totally do it. He's gonna leave and like cry after he's done. Poor kid. It'll be great. But so first up, if you guys want to follow where we're at under the topics, there's three little stars. That's where we're at. We'll work our way down. We will cut off the audio portion at the end of the Rizzo Q&A, just because this stuff can get long. Figure about 30 minutes, 45 minutes per each category. But if you guys do have questions, don't be afraid to ask them. Just if we don't get to them, make sure you ask them again at the end of the show. So first up, RLCS qualifiers. Johnny Boy, I know you've been doing some VOD reviews of those. Some pretty exciting games. I think you just got done with Good Morning, I want to say.
Yeah, I got done with Good Morning versus Flipside because I had to do that game. It's Mike against Flipside. You know, I spotted that game in the bracket before it even happened, and I was like, no way. Are we actually going to see it already? The first time that Good Morning play a competition, we're going to see them play against Flipside. It's pretty hype, and we did get to see it. It was a closer series than I thought it would be. Like, I was worried that it was just going to be a complete sweep to Flipside, but Good Morning did pretty well. They were just more inconsistent, unsurprisingly.
Yeah,
And
Spoonie had a couple
Flipside,
mistakes
although
here and there.
not playing that well, managed to win pretty comfortably.
Very, very true. I guess before we get into it as well, only because it came out today, we should actually talk about that update that's coming in October.
Oh, yeah. We got some new...
Yeah, it was
arena.
it was just announced today. We've got the new Aqua Arena.
Yeah.
It's probably been the most asked for map, I think, by the community,
Really?
other than like a Mario Kart-esque thing, which we got with Rumble. But people have been asking for like an underwater like arena for what have you, and that is the Aquadome, which by all means looks phenomenal, and that'll come with 2 cars, the Proteus and the Triton. Triton looks like a actual it looks like an extended Masamune with like jetpacks on the side, I guess, for like
I thought it looked a bit like the new X Devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
was
thought
like,
so too.
it's
I
the
thought so
new
too.
X Devil, or the what do you call X Devil? Somebody in chat will probably be able to tell me what letters they've added to the end to make it sound cool.
RXT or something
Yeah,
like
looks
that. Yeah.
that.
And then the Proteus looks like a Grog,
RXT.
pretty much.
It is, yeah, it's just a grog.
Yeah.
It's
The
a
wheels look
bright
pretty
big
dope though.
grog.
The wheels look cool.
I mean, it's more cars. Never going to complain about that.
Mm-mm.
The hitboxes might be super good. The turning circles might be super good. So maybe they'll make pro play. I wouldn't expect it based on the shape in the trailer. They don't look like they're going to make pro play. The first one is more likely. The one that doesn't look like a grog, probably more likely to see play.
Yeah, I wish they made less of these like huge, big boxes that have like really crap turning radiuses and are just kind of, I don't know, well, awkward.
Maybe
to
that's
use.
what like they're looking
Community
at.
wants.
Yeah, maybe that's what people who aren't pros and tryhards want. I don't know. That's not
I
an
mean,
audience I'm very familiar with.
If James can make the Merc work, I'm just saying. I know Greg
Well,
and Swears
the
by the
Merc,
Grog
the
the
too.
Merc is a bit of an exception, I guess. Like
Yeah.
Grog is complete trash, but like Merc is actually not that.
It can do things that no other car can do. Like it's
Yeah.
got a super low shot arc, so you don't need to flip into some shots to get it underneath the crossbar, which makes shooting really easy.
Yeah, you can just run into it full
from some
blast, can't you?
angles. Yeah, you can just blast it. Just load up the blaster and drive. You know, you don't need to flip to keep it low. And yeah, dribbling with the Merc is pretty good. Just
Right.
any car that's got a tall front, aerialing is naturally going to be more difficult. You need to put in hundreds of hours to get familiar with that hitbox in the air, because the second that you jump up and lean back, you can't see the bottom edge of the front end of your car. And that's probably the edge that's going to hit the ball, and you can't see it. So you just have to know where it is. But cars like the Octane, why is it so popular? It's because it's got a tall hitbox, but the front end is visibly small. So you can see where that front end is much more clearly with a tall hitbox. And, yeah.
Well said. Just looks like a flying Twinkie to me.
Piece of cake, you know, easy. If you do all-star aerial training with the Batmobile, it's just the easiest thing ever. Because it's so thin, just a sheet of paper. You can be really precise.
It's like a giant flying cereal box. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, the map itself. I mean, Aquadome is going to be the first map that's released since Utopia. That's just a standard map, which is pretty cool too. That they're adding to that, so that'll be immediately for ranked, competitive RLCS, I assume. As long as I assume they'll delay it a little bit just for competitive reasons, just to make sure that all the quirks are, so we don't have weird bounces or things getting clipped, and what we saw with Wasteland right away. So I assume.
Reminds me of Bioshock too.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah. It's like Rapture all day.
Yeah.
But
I really like it.
Yeah. Looks really cool. I can't wait to see it in action. Knowing them, they'll like all the backgrounds and like the foregrounds and stuff will look really cool with like squids and stuff floating around and whatnot. I'm sure there'll be like Easter eggs in there somewhere, like little Eggmans like running around.
Yeah. Will they be hard boiled, or are they going to float though? Or wait,
Right.
which is the kind of egg that floats?
Fertilized.
The home fans could be floating, and like the away ones could be sunk. No, you don't have to apologize.
Oh, confirmed by Cyanix Eric in chat. There are Easter eggs.
Fertilized Easter eggs. You heard it here first.
Fertilized.
Confirmed on That's the Thing, week
I don't
14
even know what that
with
means.
Quinn Lobdell and Johnny Boy. Cyanix Eric, I know Eric said he's been working on some other stuff, and it turns out it's Easter eggs for the new map. So
Soundix Eric, is it a loud map? Is there background noise, or is it like Snorwick Park, where the ball just goes up in the air?
Do we just hear
It's like
bubbles? Like,
crickets. Cricket who doesn't fall asleep before it hits the ground again.
yeah, Eric,
I
is
think
there
that's
anything that
the
you
map.
can give us about like the map? Can we get some exclusive for That's the Thing? No pressure or anything, but hook us up.
It's like when you score, like a shark comes through the wall or something.
You spell that's with the Z, buddy. Oh wait, you're from the east. You use S's, don't you?
Whale noises. That's what I like to hear, dude. That's
There's
what I like
background
to
noise,
hear.
whale noises. Every time you hear Dory trying to talk as a whale.
As long as it's not dolphins laughing, man. It's like you hit the crossbar, you just hear ha 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 ha. It's like
right.
dolphins laughing at
Watch
you.
it be like Jar Jar or something.
up!
Oh
Like,
god.
the menace.
Jar Jar Binks
be
just
so
sitting on
annoying.
the post yelling at you. Oh, that's how I'm gonna be triggered right
Make
there.
some proper triggering things in that map.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. But moving along, awesome to hear. Cyanix Eric, if you feel like at any time dropping some little hints about the map or anything coming on, be more than happy.
afraid.
Be afraid to, because I
Be
want you to lose
afraid
your
to.
job. But do it.
Be very
Just do it.
afraid.
Yeah, be afraid. Don't lose your job over it, but make it worth it. Go out with a bang.
Bang, bang.
Anyway, on to RLCS qualifiers. So if you guys kind of want to recap, rather than going over every single one, I recommend talking about kind of the teams that were, I guess, expected to make it that didn't. Quinn, do you want to start us off with NA? I mean, the big one we all kind of know is
The upset.
Yeah, the upset. The biggest one that we all
The
knew is
upset.
because of we had a bracket situation
Feels
where
bad, man.
a certain
Feels
team
bad.
had to fight hard.
Right, well, as we all know, Selfless, or now, Selfless, formerly known as Momentum, they didn't make it into league play. They're done. RLCS dreams crushed, shattered, shredded, just absolutely destroyed. And I mean, kind of sucks, man. They're a great team to watch. So much fun. And really, really one of the
Shredded.
best teams in NA. But basically, because a few teams, I guess, shat the bed, if you will.
It was only
ended
one,
up beating.
right?
Well,
just
yeah, it was
Vendetta.
Vendetta. It was
Yeah,
Vendetta.
it's Vendetta.
But what happened was that Selfless had to play KOU, and after Selfless played KOU, they lost, which is fair enough. KOU, I think, right now is probably top team in NA, at least by my standards.
Good
The good
assumption.
losers bracket. Vendetta ended up losing a game to a team which I don't think they should have lost. What's their name? For some reason,
Deception.
Deception. Thank you.
Deception.
Deception's a newer team, not as experienced or anything. Vendetta by definitely should have won that and forced two of the better teams in A, two top five, top six teams to have to face off in losers bracket. Unfortunately for Selfless, they didn't come out on top.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing with the NA bracket, like the most interesting thing is the seeding was done fairly. The way that
Yeah.
it was seeded is that Genesis and Exodus got the furthest in the LAN. Oh no, I mean G2 got the furthest. So Gamers2, formerly IBP, got the furthest in LAN. They won it, so they were seed number 1. That makes sense. Then Genesis and Exodus made it to losers round 2, so they were seeded 2nd and 3rd. And then Kings of Urban went out first, so they were seeded 4th. And then who's the best team who didn't make LAN last time? Selfless. So they're seeded 5th. What does that mean? Selfless have to play against Kings of Urban. So you get two of the teams who are definitely, outside of the LAN, both top 4 teams in America, at least in recent form, and they have to play each other just because basically Kings of Urban screwed up at the LAN, They got knocked out in day 1. They probably shouldn't have. Most people thought they'd beat Flying Dutchman. And that's coming back to not haunt them now, but to haunt Selfless because they had to play Kings of Urban in the first round of the winners finals, rather not
Right.
first round.
No, to clarify, there's some
Tough
people
run.
talking in chat, and Johnny doesn't necessarily mean that the team itself for Deception is new. Deception has been around for a long time. They were under a different name. They were formerly unrivaled, like it was unrivaled as the manager. They played under like Imperial and Vision, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Vision. But it's Bell, Fireworks, Corrupted, and Vince. Those guys have been around for a long time as a team and as players. They've kind of swapped in and out, but the big three have always been Fireworks, Bell, and Corrupted. That has not changed anytime soon. They tested out Ample for a little bit. Like they've gone through some major rosters, but the Deception name is new. But as a team, they've been around for a very long time. They've always been like a top 15-ish team. Like I put them in like 12, 13 for quite a while.
Right. But
they're new to the average viewer.
Yeah, and that's why I'm just kind of clarifying. For those that are just only watching the RLCS, yes, they are a very new team.
They're new faces, but they've been around since the start, obviously.
Yep.
Like, I think James Bott said that on the cast. He said that he'd been playing against these guys in the very first ESL, and he's so excited to see them finally make it into something which is for them really, really a big step. Maybe going to motivate them to improve even more because you have to remember, teams like Exodus, they, before RLCS Season 1, were one of those bubble teams trying to break into the top teams in NA, and now they're very much there, but they needed RLCS to really establish themselves. They were on the up and up, but RLCS was like their statement, we're here. Maybe Deception are going to do the same thing. It's not likely, I would say. They're going to really struggle. I think their improvement, or their curve of improvement, is not going to be as fast as Exodus's was, but they made it, and credit to them. Hopefully they can prove me wrong.
Right. I was saying earlier that they were new. That was me. I just meant more to the, I guess, highest echelon of skill, I guess.
Yeah.
Very top tier. And I don't think that can be understated, really. The difference between top 5 teams, even just the number 1 and number 5, is generally pretty big. And when you start getting to teams that are like looking to be on the edge of the top 10 or maybe even like 8 to 10, the skill difference really is pretty big. It's usually just with regards to consistency and individual performance in those top 5 teams is always just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's just
there's not that same sort of skill drop off in EU though. It's like in NA you've got like top teams, and then there's like a big drop off, then there's everybody else, and you don't ever expect the top teams to lose to the teams outside like the top 8 or top 10. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's like such a big upset.
EU, that happens like every week. Like teams in the top who are top 16 teams, maybe even like outside that, like a top 20 team, will just come in and win out of nowhere. And we'll talk about some of the EU upsets. And there are teams that I'm sure a lot of the viewers and listeners, if not most of them, will not have heard of, like taking games off household names. And that's just happening every week in the EU and like Gfinity and stuff like that.
No, a lot of us assumed Vendetta was going to make it. All of us predicted that they would make it, and we thought they were going to do that in winners, but they lost, and that we didn't plan for that to happen really. We thought we were going to see Selfless versus Deception. I'm pretty sure, and then Selfless would, in my opinion, take in Deception like no problem. Their play style, most 9 out of 10 times, just it works better. I think the biggest issue with Selfless though was age. I think those guys are very inexperienced when it comes to that environment. Obviously, it's a good experience for them that they got to play on the big stage in front of thousands of people and kind of got that exposure to it. But that was their first real exposure to it. They've never really had a holy crap. There's 14,000 people watching us right now, and that's a different type of mental game.
It's tough. Miho just disappeared. I didn't see Miho the whole series against
I'd agree with that.
Vendetta. Deception, like he just wasn't there, which is weird because he's such a monster online usually, but he just didn't show up, and that happens. You're not guaranteed to have every player show up every single time you play. It's a shame that they didn't make it, but it's going to happen to someone. And yeah, I hope they stick together. There's still plenty of tournaments for them to go and win. They're having good success outside of RLCS, so all the best to them. Very, very good team.
Yeah, I forget who tweeted it out as well. I think it was Corelli actually. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but Corelli put out 2 back-to-back tweets about let me find them. They're he worded it perfectly because there's so many teams that after they lose, they disappear, they disband, they whatever, and what needs to be done right now is exactly like he stated. Where is it? Quote, those of you who didn't make league play in RLCS, your chance to improve starts now, not after the RLCS finals. Take advantage of the time. And there's a lot of teams that talk about, we have 3 months off now. What are we going to do? All this other kind of stuff. And this basically frees you from the burden that is every single week of play. You can focus on the really nitty gritty stuff. Okay, what are we having issues as a team? Is it communication issues? Is it, okay, our rotations? Is our playstyle bland? Is it, what's going on? 3 months is a very long time. A lot of people talk about how a month isn't enough in between the first and second RLCS. So now's that time. There's too many teams that break up immediately, and disbanding isn't the answer. This is where you put in the work and you grind it out so you're ready for the next season. And there's too many teams that don't do that. It baffles me.
SA are wow, we didn't qualify. Let's just stick together and try and qualify this time. They haven't made it yet. They've made it to groups, but they haven't made it to RLCS. They're halfway there. But that's something other teams should try and copy. I completely agree.
Yeah, sticking together, part of the importance of just losing as a team is just that, you kind of, when you have experience losing, you kind of see what happens that leads to a loss. You see, where the bad habits are coming from and what are the things that, what are the indicators or the signs, or what can you do to prevent it next time, right? You had experience, you found out what went wrong. How can we stop this? How can we make sure next time we're successful? And, it's okay to lose. Everybody loses. The best teams lose. Flipside lost at RLCS Season 1, which to a lot of people was an upset, right? Everybody can lose. So it's not a big deal. It's important that teams don't have too much of an ego, and that they're willing to lose and stick together so they can keep improving.
Mm-hmm. It's also a motivator too. You see so many teams that come in, it's all right, we do have a chance. That's why they still do open qualifiers. Is it allows teams to basically see it as, even though we may not have proven ourselves before, this is a chance for anybody, literally anybody, to sign up and make a name for themselves if it falls in. Now, in most cases with teams and the way that they play, we know who's roughly going to make it in. Out of the top 64 teams that were made in, 58 made it onto round 2. We talked about that last week. It was 58 or 59 of the 64 teams that were seeded personally. So we have a general idea based upon teams that are going to come in. But there is teams like Selfless where they've been playing together for so long where they just haven't really gotten up and done it because they're all PS4 players that grew up together. And then they started playing together and they took the teams by storm. So there is people out there possibly that could do it that just need that next step or the next initiative. Or we have kids like Scrub Killer who are too young that can't. We don't know what's going to happen in that kind of situation. But that's the whole point of the open qualifier, is to show that anybody can make it. It literally is up to.
So I don't really like it because imagine if Classic Stanley had made group stage ahead of G2.
Oh, it would have been terrible for the scene, but that's part of the risk.
No, well, yeah, it's such a
G2,
big
like
risk.
this
Your
is
fate
directly at
and
G2,
Kenobi Lachinio and Overzero to win a series online against some no names. Like I
right?
wouldn't take I wouldn't put my money on that. Like
Right.
if anyone can lose a game to some no names in an online open bracket qualifier, it's G2. They
And
can do it.
that's it
They can do
scares me
it.
that I agree with you when you say something as strongly worded as that, because no offense to G2, those guys need to pick it up. I don't know what's going on,
Hmm.
but fix it. For the sake of this
Hmm.
esport, please fix it. I need you guys to destroy people in league play. I need you guys to show that you
They're
are.
trying to be something that they're not. I talked about
Oh
it in
my
my
gosh.
VOD that I did for them this earlier this week, so I won't go into any details. But they're just trying to be something they're not, man. That's the short answer. They want to be like the flashy team who are pressuring and winning with pressure, like Flipside and Northern Gaming, but that's not how they've succeeded in the past. So I don't know why they're trying to do that. They can do that against the teams that they're used to crushing every week, but when other teams in NA stepped up and kind of played at their pace, they couldn't do that anymore. And yeah, no offense to Classic Stanley as well, but yeah, it would have been really bad for for Rocket League if they had beaten G2. I was
Biggest
like, who are
sponsor we have
Classic
today
Stanley?
comes in.
Sorry, I
Doesn't.
don't know. I don't know these guys.
Oh, it'd be bad. It'd be so bad if those guys didn't make it. For the big story, they gotta be careful.
Yeah, they just need to get Gambit back for the online stuff. Like Gambit carried them through online, then over zero back for the LAN.
Gambit's nuts.
That's how they do it. I'm not even kidding.
Useless,
That would be
useless
the
up,
best
man.
plan. Get him, but bring Gambit back. Everybody
Crazy
start
stuff.
tweeting hashtag bring back Gambit. That's what has to happen.
Anyway, enough about NA. Let's go over to the EU side of things. We talked a lot about ones that there's a couple teams like Red Eye and stuff that I didn't really even remember that were a team, but they played actually really, really well.
Yeah, Red Eye's known names, Dadu and uh, Tequilas and Chaussette. So Chaussette made the group stages with shoot and goal last time, and he was the best player on the worst team in the league. Like they were the worst team who made groups in RLCS Season 2 qualifier 2. But Chaussette was like the one good thing about that team, who kind of looked like he was meant to be there. So he's back. He made it back into groups. They had a bit of an easy run, which was due to the collapse of Penta Esports. Like
Really?
Penta Esports were
Well, there was
supposed to
there
win
was two major
this
ones
bracket.
that
Yeah.
happened.
Well, I mean,
Fogan
Penta,
and the boys.
yeah, the Vogan, yeah, Vogan's team. I think the best way to look at the Vogan's team collapse was, or the not having a sub was, there's actually only three players who were players at the LAN, starting players at the RLCS LAN 1 who didn't make it into groups. One of them is Quinn, who's right here, only player from NA who didn't make it back because he's making a transition to casting. Mike was one game away with Bipod and Spoonie, and Vogan's team was one sub away from making round 2 of the open bracket. So
Round
shout
two,
out to
open
them.
bracket.
Yeah. Mike's one game away from groups. Vogan's one sub away from round 2. That's what I want you guys to remember. Always have a substitute.
Always.
Yeah,
have a
sorry, it's
substitute.
James Six is right. It's Penta Sports. I always say Penta Esports because I expect it to be Penta Esports, but it's Penta Sports is the name of the team. Formerly Team Enjoy. Just a disaster. They had a disaster. I don't know what happened. They lost 3-0 to Kaden, which is a team that I don't expect many of you to know. But Kaden, to me, I think they're just a team like another one of those solid teams in EU. And they have weeb avatars, if I recall. That's what I remember them as. They're the team with weeb avatars that you have to play well because they're not a pushover. But I don't know how they 3-0'd Pentasports. I don't know what happened. That shouldn't happen. Like they're solid, but they're not that solid. And then Penta lost to Kainos in the losers bracket. So, yep,
Yeah,
pretty weird.
got pretty lucky because I've been pretty
Pretty
close with those guys over at the Penta crew. But they've obviously had some mix-ups. The biggest thing I noticed was like almost immediately after RLCS. Like I check on Steam, just kind of like talk to the guys that have been playing, like wish them luck and all that kind of stuff too. And Grandmaster Sexy no longer has Penta in front of his name. So I asked him to comment on it, try to talk to him, and he kind of opened up and he said it's okay for him to share this, talk to Freaky and the rest of the guys as well. So what's going on with Penta is apparently they started having some troubles a couple weeks back before open quals. Apparently, they felt that like their rotations and their playstyles were becoming a little bit too predictable, and they were having like trouble finding new strategies. Ended up targeting each other with the big issues rather than kind of being productive with it. They attacked each other just because they're frustrated, and it happens. And that's why player managers and coaches are so huge, because they would help out with that stuff. They'd allow them to focus that upsetness towards other things rather than each other, which is tough. And that's why we ask and we recommend, if you guys have problems or something, don't be afraid to come ask us and try to help figure stuff out. Obviously, if we can't do it immediately, it's because we're busy, but we'll get to you eventually. So first qual they did poor in the first weeks. They're talking like the open qualifiers, but they made it to week 2, which is important. But as soon as they got to week 2, as you guys know, they lost to Kaden because of the same problems. Predictability. Kaden's a solid roster.
But they've never I don't think they've ever lost to a team outside of a close 3-2 to Supersonic Avengers, or a close loss to Precision Z, or getting smashed by Flipside and Northern Gaming like everybody else. Maybe Weed and Babies. I'm not 100% sure. I've not been keeping track of every single result, but Penta have been very, very consistent against the teams below them in the power rankings for the most part.
That's very big.
That's all you need to be in this qualifier. Sure, they were in Mucket Aces bracket, so they might have had to face Mucket Aces in the winners finals, almost certainly, and that's going to be tough. But then if they can make it to that winners finals, you have 2 shots, 2 best of 5s. You just have to win one of them. Lose to Mucket Aces in the winners bracket, win against whoever you're up against in the losers bracket. That's really the goal. They probably tried to change too much for no reason, because if you're making changes, open bracket is not the time to do it. That's when you just stick to what you know. Just play your game. Don't try and adapt to the other team, because they're the team that are, the underdogs. You don't adapt to the underdogs. You just play your game. And the Penta, they beamed it. They majorly beamed it. Like in the biggest disaster of the RLCS this time around. Mostly because I had them in my fantasy team and they didn't qualify. So
I'm really upset.
Pretty mad about that.
Eventually, that's what Rocket League is going to become. Is people are going to be like sitting at the gym, like on a treadmill, like you see in the football commercials, and be like, "What would you guys talk about without fantasy Rocket League?" Like you got to talk about each other's like cat or something stupid. No, I need to talk about fantasy and how you guys dick me over. But so after they lost, Freaky basically stated that he didn't want to play with that same lineup. They wanted to change something up. So they basically told, they thought that Grandmaster Sexy was the issue, so they asked him to be the sub. He was, quite frankly, pissed off about it. So he said no, and he doesn't want to, so he left the team. They terminated the contract with Grandmaster Sexy, but this now allows him to focus on university and everything else. So part of the reason he feels like he wasn't performing is possibly because of school. There can be a lot of outside factors, but the moral of the story is if you guys have issues with each other's teammates, don't point the blame at each other. Try to come to an outside perspective and say what the issue is and fix it. Because when you keep blaming each other, like, hey man, you keep fucking up, guy probably knows he made a mistake, and you telling him he made that mistake is just going to make it worse. It exponentially just keeps growing. It's not a great thing to do.
Those players on that team, I am still to this day surprised that they did as well as they did, and I'm not trying to take a shot at
explain why
any of those players. But I think that they were, for me, proof that teamwork can make the dream work. They were beating teams who had better players on paper, better individual players. That they picked up Pondex, and I was like, really, Pondex? Is he actually gonna make this team work? And then they made it work. I really didn't get how they made it work, but they did. And then to see that fall apart, I was like, oh no. Honestly, I don't see any of those players from Penta, the Penta Sports, who just collapsed in the bracket. I don't think that any of them can get in a better team, just because that kind of teamwork and synergy doesn't come around very often, especially not so quick. And those guys came out of nowhere. They made it to a winners finals they made it to losers finals in RLCS qualifier 2 for RLCS 1, the first season. And everybody was like, who on earth are Team Enjoy? They were called Team Enjoy back then. We'd never heard of them. They're the first team who actually came out of nowhere in Europe. There's other teams in European Rocket League who show up and they do really well. But yeah, I would expect to know who they are. People like Woody, you'd expect Woody to have heard of them. and other analysts in the EU scene, we know all of the good players, and then Team Enjoy are like, oh, hello, you didn't know us, we're really good. And yeah, I don't know. I'm worried about those guys. I really wanted to see them stick together.
It's just that they were
'Cause
the
they had a good thing
epitome
going.
of even though we don't have the best mechanical skill, even though they're all, as you stated, they're good players by all means. Like you have to be obviously good to make it, in the top, 20. But they proved that chemistry can overvalue sometimes mechanical skill. They were the epitome to me of a team that, even though they didn't have the most breakout players, that one guy that was just absolutely insane, but their chemistry was on point. They worked so well as a team together, and it sucks watching teams like that break up. So I wish Freaky and Ponex the best. Hopefully Grandmaster 60 either realizes that he wants to get back into the competitive scene due to whatever reasons, and we're going to make sure we question the heck out of Rizzo later about that, like what made you come back. So other than the money, obviously.
I really would not be surprised if they do.
If he just drops a
mock
fat
NA take
dollar
two.
sign and then pieces out, I'd be like,
Nah, honestly, like I could see that happening for Penta. They're like go and try other teams, and they're like, actually, this isn't like we had a good thing going. Let's just get back together. I could see that happening because I don't
it
see
happens
them.
all the time.
Like I don't see any of those players in a top 4 team. Like they were 4th in the power ranking, 3rd actually. For a while they were 3rd in the power rankings in EU, only behind Flipside and Northern. That's pretty good if you look at all of the talent that's available in EU. And they have to ask themselves, are we really gonna get back into a top 3 team? I don't know. Something to think about. But actually for me, I don't think that was the biggest story of the EU qualifier. Just very quickly for you guys who might not have seen this, Summit, which is Flarky, Sebedam, and Jesse, they got upset by Sector 1 in round 1 of winners bracket, so they got sent straight down to losers after round 1, and then they won 5 consecutive series to make group stage. They beat Watchario 3-0, no surprise there. They beat On Fleet Gaming 3-1, that's a tough team. They beat Effort 3-1, that's another tough team. They beat 7th seed Kaunos 3-2, obviously a tough team. And then they beat Good Morning, Mike's team 3-2, obviously a tough team. So they left it. They like lost to Sector 1, then they just left an absolute trail of destruction behind them as they, plowed into the group stage.
Right, reminiscent of Flipside coming through that losers bracket too. Just on a mission, they're like nothing's gonna stop us, and they played like it. I mean that last series that they played was phenomenal. Probably one of my favorites because it was so close. I mean, other than like watching Good Morning, like Mike play Flipside, like they were on a tear, man. They're like, yeah, we're gonna make it whether you guys want us to or not. And one of those teams that kind of snuck by, both Summit, like I saw them, I'm like, all right, these guys are good, they can make it. And Red Eye, like those two for me, I just wish I would have paid more attention to. I think Gibbs was one of the only guys for the fantasy people that I talked to that was like, yeah, Red Eye's going in. I'm like, okay.
I don't. Red Eye got. Nah, I don't. I think Red Eye got a bit lucky. If you look at their bracket, no, I'm not gonna, put it all down to
nitpick
luck.
it,
Like
but
they are a good team. They've had good results. They beat Supersonic Avengers and Gfinity, like right before, as in they beat Supersonic Avengers and Gfinity on Friday. 2 days later, they lost to Supersonic Avengers 3-0 in RLCS, and then who did they have to beat to make it? They beat Too Fat, which is a team they really should be beating. Swamp Monkeys, who is Sniper Kid's new team, and Cytons, which is Meister Claus and God's Miller's team.
Yep.
That's not the toughest run. Compare that to the teams I just listed off that Summit beat, and you're like, okay, this is not not as tough a run at all. And it's all because Penta made this bracket much easier than it was supposed to be by losing in round 1 of winners bracket when they were supposed to make round 3. Had Penta made round 3 of winners bracket against Mockadaces and lost, Red Eye would have been against Penta in the final instead of Cytons, and that would be a much harder game. Probably wouldn't see Red Eye advancing right there. And also shout out to Swamp Monkey, Sniper Kid's team. They actually knocked out 6th seed Aeriality from losers, so that's an upset.
Yep.
Lots of upsets in EU.
Yeah, he was kind of a cluster. We were like sitting back, just waiting to hear like what matches were up next while we were sitting on the desk in between games during our intermissions and stuff. We're like, wait, what? Like these guys?
Probably,
okay,
you were Red Eye.
Like we're
What?
sitting there like on the desk and we're trying to follow the brackets. We're like, okay, wait, Penta's out, and like we're all looking at each other, and you can hear people yelling across the studio like, Penta's out, and we're like, no, what? Like everybody like runs to a laptop, like pulls up the brackets and stuff. We're like,
It's such a shame.
oh god, like, and it's crazy because that's how
But that was
Qual
just Penta were in an even more loaded side of the bracket. Penta were in the same bracket that Summit,
Yep.
Good Morning, Kaunos, and themselves were in. That was like such an effort as well, zero effort. There was such a stacked bracket. Then right underneath them, you've got like the Red Eye free bracket because Reality lost to Swamp Monkeys and Penta didn't make it like they were supposed to. I guess Red Eye are the deception of Red Eye are the deception of EU. They just got, they got into winners finals, got smashed in winners finals, and then they had an easy matchup in the losers finals. So they made it, but I think they're going to be a solid eighth place team. I don't think they're going to have any chance of being something that isn't eighth in groups. That's just me, though.
But, yeah, enough about last week. We're going to move on to this week, what to look forward to on the 24th and the 25th. In 2 days from now, we're starting off. So for NA, to my knowledge, the way that the games are played is they basically take the first seed and they kind of just do back and forth, kind of like a round robin for league play. Either way, it's going to be really good. But it's awesome to see that you're going to see people based upon brackets, how they got in. Like teams like Red Eye are going to have to go up against like Oh My Dog, who, barely lost to people like Northern Gaming. Like the matches were insane, like really, really good matches. So you're going to start to see these teams really separate themselves. And I'm glad that they're extending it because it shows how well these teams do over a course of time. And that's what you need. We need consistency in the top teams. And the more and more you allow these teams to play each other, you're going to see the true value of a team kind of come to fruition based upon how well they adapt. Is there going to be certain play styles that we see out of these teams that change? And that's what I like. The longer the league play, the better, in my opinion. It's really going to allow the better teams to get into LAN.
I agree.
And then it's a whole different story when they get to the LAN, as the LAN boy chimed in. Would definitely know. So kind of looking at the sheet and stuff like that. First game's up is going to be Exodus versus Deception. And then
3-0. Easy.
And then Vendetta has to play Deception immediately after. So
3-0. Easy. Ripception. Nah,
so if you guys want to kind of talk about your thoughts about Deception's games for the week. And, I mean, they've got some tough battles.
Isn't that the revenge match for Vendetta?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. So Vendetta can get their revenge and Selfless will be trying to, cheer for Vendetta as well, since they're the team that knocked them out. I don't think Deception are going to fare very well. Is it best of fives or series of five?
I believe so.
Series of fives. I can't
What
see
I
Deception
wish they would
more
do-
than a game in either
I
of the
wish
series.
formatting was a best of 5, and then they just got 1 point for the win.
Yeah.
Just made it real easy.
Series of 5 is interesting, or maybe just do series of 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
You could try. I wanted to try something new. We've already
It is
done.
it's a best of 5, Jesse said.
There we go.
Awesome.
So we're trying something new. That's what I like to do.
Yay!
Didn't want to see
I'm
much now.
so happy they listened. Good job, Psyonix
Good job.
and Twitch. And shout
My
out
only
to
issue with-
Cloudfuel.
My only issue with best of fives is like, man, it just sucks. Like going 3-2 against a team, and then if you lose technically every best of 5, okay, well, I mean, if you're winning, only 2 out of 5 matches, like you aren't that great. But on the same note, you're gonna look like a team that's complete crap.
Uh-huh. Like
If
a
they
team
don't
could
just-
lose every series 2-3.
Yeah,
And they'd
but
have they'd have more wins than a team who win like 2 of their series 3-0 and lose every other series 3-0. But they might finish behind them just because they technically lost every series, right?
Yep. I think that best of 5 sometimes. I think it's important people watching games don't look at the stats too much. Really, anytime you see a best of 5 win, the games can be so much closer than the score shows. Like that's my only issue with it. But I think
It's something new though. It should be interesting.
I do think best of 5s though. I think for RLCS are a little bit better at like creating that
The story.
either you're in or you're out. You win or you're going
Mm-hmm.
home. Right?
Right.
So it's
Yeah,
like
and
put it all in line.
People in chat bring it up too. I mean, best of fives definitely have that excitement. You know, at any moment this could be over. Like you have to, it builds that anticipation of
And
one
then
more game
you
and
get
you're out,
reverse swept in a
right?
best of
First
five.
sweeps, and that's
Right.
exciting
Or
too.
it gets laid.
Or if it's
Yeah.
you know if there's pros and cons to both sides. Just like you guys said, you brought up the cons of a best of five. Pros being if I have a team that's getting 4-1 every single time they play, I don't want to watch that. Like you guys are getting dominated like 4-0, 5-1. Like I'm sorry. Like let's move on. Like we
Shout outs
understand.
to former Selfless.
God, I mean they did lose 4-1 every single
They were
series
all,
in.
they were all for one and one for.
Every series was a
For
4-1
all.
score.
But when you see those, it's like we know who's gonna win. Do we really need to drag this out? We understand that. And for the con of it, that's where casters come into play, and this applies to all casters, both Quinn and Johnny being them now, as well as all the guys in the RLCS. You know, if we're talking about a best of series, it is our job to tell the story about how close that series really was. We need to bring that information up as the days progress. So it's something to definitely take note of. That's part of the job. So I do like a mixture of both. I do think best of and series, like an actual match of 5 matches, does have its place. But I mean, it goes either way. That's the benefit of us. We're trying something out. See how it goes.
If maybe they did like first week or like I don't know, let's say they did series of fives, right? And then the top teams, like the teams that lose, I guess, could go into like best ofs to determine who keeps going. Because it's like only 2 teams get eliminated, right?
Yeah.
Then that would make like you'd be able to show really where you stand with a series, but you'd have that like ride or die best of 5 type gameplay to determine who gets knocked out. I think
Yeah.
that'd be pretty cool.
What do you think about Deception's chances this weekend? I think that the only way that they can have a chance in either of those series is if Fireworks keeps top cornering like literally every shot. Because in the games I did see of Deception, like Fireworks was on point with his shots.
Fireworks
Every
is a good
like,
shot.
bar
He's a good
down,
shooter.
it was legit. But I can't see that happening consistently. Like there's very few players in the world who can get every shot to go bar down. I don't know. I think that was just like a peak.
I think
Has
that
to be because it was
I think
they weren't
a
expected
lot
to do that well.
sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
A lot of the teams like Deception, who are like I guess newer to this top echelon of play, like they're maybe not a new team in terms of like the players coming together, but just having to compete at this level, which they haven't really done before, or being included with this like really top level teams. I think we're gonna see them fight, but pressure is gonna affect them. I think that we're gonna see them take a few games, but I don't see them taking entire series.
I mean,
So I wouldn't.
that's the beauty of it, man. This is where they got to show up. Games like this where, they already proved last week they could beat Vendetta. They proved
Well, I
they've already
think
done
Vendetta's
it.
gonna
So,
come back with
well, I'm sure they're gonna have something on their shoulder.
Vendetta's gonna
Dang.
smash them, dude.
I think so
Vendetta's
too.
gonna
I
smash
agree.
them. Vendetta, I don't know how they lost that. It was disastrous.
All right,
What
next
other
two up.
games have we got though? I haven't actually seen seen the schedule.
So next
All
up,
right, Exodus.
Vendetta then also plays Genesis, and then there's 2 teams that only play 1 match. That's Exodus and KOU, I think.
Kings.
Whoever's up last. Yeah.
Yeah, Exodus and KOU are the last 2 are the only one guys playing 1. So basically, the team they play 2 in a row. So Deception plays 2 in a row, Vendetta plays 2 in a row, and then Revival plays 2 in a row. G2 plays 2 in a row.
It's like one team stays on and the other team, and
Right,
then they get
right.
another opponent. Yeah.
Right. So after Deception plays Vendetta, Vendetta then plays Genesis. I think that'll be a really close match.
Yeah, that could be really close.
I think Genesis actually has a pretty tough series of games here, at least as far as their playstyle goes. Vendetta could easily take it to Genesis. Honestly, I'm expecting Exodus to win versus Deception. I'm expecting Vendetta to beat Deception, but I think Genesis will beat Vendetta. I think it's gonna be a very close series, though.
Yeah, I'd
I
give it
think-
3-2 for Genesis
think-
as well, dude.
Yeah, Revival's gonna lose both their series. I think G2's gonna come out on top. But
Who
I
did
do
Revival
think
play? G2 and who else?
G2 and Genesis.
And Genesis, yeah, they're gonna lose both those series.
I think take 3 versus G2. I think take 3. I think it's
Were
gonna
they
be
actually called
closer.
Take 3 now?
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Take Two with copyright with
I
the company that
I thought
does.
that was a joke.
We don't
Like-
we don't know that. Wes Rizzo. Wes Rizzo.
Yeah, we'll get more into
Alright.
detail, but to my knowledge, Take Two Interactive, which is a pretty big gaming studio, is
Well,
some stuff that you
so
got to be
Take
careful
Two are
of.
playing G2
Take Three,
again.
yeah, Take Three is
Take
playing
Three.
G2.
Are playing G2.
Yep, I think
Get
that's
some
smash
one
them.
Gs in the chat.
I think Take Three is just gonna take
Okay, Summit,
one
get out of
series.
here.
Yeah, Take Three is gonna beat G2 again.
It's a third
Obviously.
take on a new name, man. Don't give him a break. Like,
And then they can disband and come back as Take Four. They just keep making new teams.
so smart.
And
Good business
they're
decision,
endless
guys.
team names.
Fifth time's a charm.
Right?
That'd be. You gonna do EU, Johnny?
Was that all the games for NA? Wait,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
Kings of
so
Urban
Revival.
games. Kings
Yep,
of Urban
Revival.
take two.
Kings
right?
Urban's take three.
Kings of Urban take three. Yeah, Kings of Urban are going to take three games in that series and win. Yeah. I do actually, that's
Hate
what
you, dude. I
I
hate you.
think is gonna happen.
God damn it.
All right, EU.
Yep. So EU
Flipside
first up.
versus Red Eye. Obviously, Red Eye are gonna win that series because they've got the might of tequilas. I mean, please, Flipside are gonna 3-0, easy peasy, and then Red Eye are gonna move on and get 3-0'd again by Oh My Dog. What do you reckon, Quinn? I think it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
0-6 for Red Eye.
Ouch.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that I have to agree with you guys there because I do want in every single like RLCS so far, both seasons we've had, or both parts I should say, we've had a team or like one or two teams that have been that bottom spot, and I feel bad because it's probably going to be Red Eye for EU and for NA. I mean,
Revival, Deception.
Lawler Deception. I mean,
No, it's gonna be
It's
Deception.
gonna be Deception, but Revival, I wouldn't be surprised if they have a similar.
this is where they have the
performance.
time to prove themselves. You know,
Yeah.
like Yada's already calling you guys out. Prove us wrong. We love being proved wrong. Believe it or not. Like when you guys come in and have those games, those are the most exciting series to watch. So please come in, prove us wrong, show us why you guys belong there, please. But Oh My Dog looked really strong, like really strong. Their defense was phenomenal. They put up a good fight last week, but up against Mocket Aces, Pasha, and those guys are playing a very fast pace. I'm actually curious about that series, Oh My Dog versus Mocket Aces. What do you guys think?
Devo is insane. That's all I can say
agree.
about that one.
I agree.
Devo is unbelievable right now. He's straight beast mode, that kid. Unbelievable talent is Devo. I think that just the fact that Devo is a step above everybody else in that lobby is going to be enough to win that series for Mocket Aces. Maybe even 3-1. As strong as Oh My Dog were against Northern, I don't know, Devo's too good right now. Until Devo like tilts, Mocket are just going to keep winning. And they face Summit as well. I think they're going to smash Summit. The problem for Summit is they tend to back off a lot in defense. That's not going to work against Mocket Aces. Hopefully for their case, or for their sake, they can be more aggressive in the midfield, or else they're going to get dribbled all day by Pashi Devo. But I don't think Summit or Oh My Dog are going to take more than a game against Mocket Aces.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't really see that many upsets happening on either side. Any of you?
Well, the game after, Summit versus Supersonic Avengers, that could be close. That could be really close. Most people would just say, yeah, Supersonic Avengers, I've heard of them. I've never heard of Summit, so Supersonic Avengers are going to win. But actually,
Summit's a bunch of
that
great
matchup
players.
might be quite
Summit's
close. Because
Summit's a damn good
Summit-
team.
Yeah, Summit are a good team, but I think that they'll do better against teams who try to play like Northern Gaming style, hitting the
I
backboard.
completely agree.
But if
Completely
you
agree.
come up against like grounded play, like I think Flipside and Mocket are gonna roll all over Summit right now. But teams like SA and Northern, Summit can actually give those two teams a really good run for them.
Sebadem and Jesse are insane, like on defense.
Hmm
Sebadem is a god, and so is Jesse. And Jesse actually has incredible dribbling skills. So
Mhm.
that's going to be really, really good for them to play against those teams that are super aggressive. You're just going to see the really good dribblers being able to kind of dismantle the pressure.
Yeah.
Like and you're going to find that the teams that are trying to be aggressive are just going to overcommit once the dribbler gets past them or is able to throw some mind games in there, and that's just going to lead
Yeah.
to like Sebadem, Jesse, Summit. that team just outperforming.
It's funny though, because if that was the first game of the day for Summit, I might even give it to them. But I reckon they're going to be coming
Oh,
off a
and
tough
Flarky.
loss to Mock
How
it.
could I forget Flarky?
Yeah, Flarky is in that team too.
That team's actually a really great team.
It's
I
a
think
really
they're
good team.
underrated.
The only thing that, and I know Quinn, you and I have kind of briefly mentioned it, but I know Johnny and I talk about it a lot because Seb does some crazy things in 1v1s for your stream, but that confidence needs to come across in the threes team. He needs to play like I've seen him play in ones where he's just like, I'm going to go for the most ridiculous bumps you have ever seen and score off of it on my own. And if I can't do it, now I've got teammates that back it up too. So
Yeah.
we need that
He just knows
confidence.
what he's
come
doing
through.
in ones. He just knows what he's doing. Like every situation, he just knows how he wants to approach it and what he wants to be doing. But in threes, he doesn't have that same knowledge and experience. Because think about it, in 1v1, if you smash the opponent's crossbar or post really hard, that's the worst thing you can do because you've just given them a counterattack goal. In 3v3, you smash the opponent's crossbar or post really hard. That's pretty good. You know, you've probably got a teammate coming up behind you who's going to get an easy goal because of that. So there's some situations in threes that are completely different. And, you know, getting an outplay on one guy in the midfield with a dribble, you know, you flick it over one defender, you're like, all right, let's go. If that's 1v1, you've just scored. If it's 3v3, you probably just passed it to their goalkeeper. So, there are some situations that are just completely different in threes. And Sebadam hasn't really figured it out yet. But when he does, he'll be a monster for sure because he's really, really quick. He's just one of those players who's so fast. Like, we're talking about Devo and how quick he is. Sebadam is up there as well with regard to speed, but he just needs the experience.
Yeah, EU's got a lot of exciting games this week. SA's got to show their consistency. Precision C looking really, really strong, even though nobody can say their name apparently.
What do people say? Precision Z?
No, they say like Axeltoss says precision. Like he lists precision. He butchers it really bad. Yeah, it's tough. It's rough, but yeah,
it's funny. Yeah, PZ and Summit. I think both of them have good style against Supersonic Avengers, but I'll give Supersonic Avengers the edge over Summit purely because I think Summit are going to be coming off a tough loss to Mock it. But oh man, even then, you know, they came back from losers bracket. Then again, they didn't have to face Supersonic Avengers right after dropping to losers. Yeah, I'm going to give it an SA over Summit, PZ over SA, and then Northern over PZ. I think Northern are just going to be too much for the PZ defense. They're going to make the ball way more awkward to defend than Supersonic Avengers will. Counterattacks don't happen very often against Northern like they do against Supersonic Avengers. Remco will be at the midfield, intercepting everything. That's my predictions.
Yeah, Quinn, anything you want to add on those before we move on?
I think it's all pretty straightforward. I think we should bring in the Riz.
Oh shit.
The Riz B.
Yeah, no, you guys like matches this weekend. EU, like EU has a lot of games that I'm really excited for. Even like both sides, like league play is always really exciting. You get to see these teams battle it out. So make sure you guys tune in. That'll be on Saturday at twitch.tv/Rocket League. That'll be 12 p.m. Pacific time, which is 8 BEST, I think. Johnny? Yeah.
Yes.
So 8 BEST, and then
yes, it is.
Sunday is 6 your guys' time, or something like that. Or no, it's earlier than that. It's
5 maybe.
9. So yeah, 5.
Yeah, so it's 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock
5.
BST.
And then we start at
6 o'clock Central European.
Yep, and we start at 9 Pacific. So starts early. But really exciting stuff. You guys should make sure you check that out. Make sure you guys go support your favorite teams. You guys now have a general preview of who's going to be playing and stuff. So if you can, go support those rosters, man. Make those guys feel at home. Give them that whole team advantage online. You play a lot better when you know you have a lot of people in chat backing you because those guys have more than one monitor. So they'll see it. But that's going to do it for that topic. We're going to move on to the special guest, the one and only from Take 3, Rizzo. Let's move him in here. Rizzo from Take 3. How you doing, buddy? Rizzo.
You muted.
Oh yeah, no, that scared me. I didn't know.
You didn't know it was coming. He's like waiting for this delay, and all of a sudden he's pulling. He's like, "Oh no, I'm part of the show now."
He just yelled at me.
Yeah, just start yelling. That's how we're gonna bring in guests from now on. We're just gonna start yelling as we pull you into the channel, and then see how you
rough,
react.
Man.
I mean, we gotta take it some way. So basically, the jump premises. We're moving on to the next topic, guys. We got Rizzo. We're gonna do some Q&A. Rizzo, before we get into start of how everything is gonna go, do you want to give us like a brief history of your introduction into Rocket League, whether it be SARP or otherwise? What got you into the competitive scene? Kind of an overall history of you and who you are.
All right. I bought Rocket League like 13 months ago, I guess now. And hold on, we're getting to the life story here. No, but my friends convinced me to buy it, and in like November or December, I thought I was just like a god, and then I met Quinn in solo standard, and he told me to join Orange Creamsicle, and he said, "Mate, you're a creamsicle, mate, mate," and he kept saying "mate," and I don't know why. But I joined Orange Creamsicle, and we played one tournament, and he kicked me off the team for Gambit. So
You were a sub.
I was on the team for a whole entire week.
You were a sub and you left. Okay, go on.
What
go on,
happened,
go on.
boys? Or did the tryout not go well?
It wasn't a tryout.
Wait,
They said I was on
actually,
the team.
Yo. He actually played Flipside in Rocket Royale. That was the first series we played with Rizzo on Orange Creamsicle. And we took them to Game 5 OT. And I remember it was like a huge...
What was your third? Edwin?
Yeah, me, Edwin, and
my-
Rizzo.
No
And
way.
it was like
That'd be some
mind
crazy
blowing.
series to pull up if we could.
Like, everybody was like,
F3.
what? And everybody's like, why isn't this being streamed? Do you want to watch Orange Creamsicle Flipside? And then, dude, actually remember that series pretty well. After that happened, we ended up doing ESL. And Gambit came out the woodwork, said, I don't want to retire. And I think Rizzo can understand. You can pretty much chop anybody in NA for Gambit.
I think the problem was that you never told me.
Oh, you never
Ooh.
told him, dude.
I
Why
never
didn't you
got a
tell him?
message.
Oh, man. This guy. Okay, I tried to tell him. It got lost in translation. Okay?
Why weren't you? We talked 2 weeks ago about being forward and having good team communication. Why didn't you just say, "Hey, man"? Like,
Okay, wait. This is the Rizzo interview, okay? Not the Quinn interview.
No. You
I want to
Dude,
hear it. I've never
can't
heard
just
it.
say it
No,
got
I
lost
actually
in
did try and- I
translation.
actually-
What?
No, not lost in translation. No.
He Google
I actually
were you
translated
tried to
speaking? Were you
message him.
speaking Spanish or something? Like, what do you mean? What are you translating?
Rizzo just doesn't understand. You know, he's just not a creamsicle. He just didn't
What did
understand.
you tell him?
No, I should have
What did
read
you
his
say?
mind. You're right. My bad.
No,
My
but-
bad on that one.
Oh, that's quality.
All right.
Anyways, so
yeah.
Creamsicle, you
no,
move
I
on from
thought
there.
this was gonna start, but that's amazing. What a
Yeah.
great start to the
Great.
interview.
Nailed
So,
it. Good job, boys.
After that, I lost all the confidence, and then Lo5 convinced me to join. I think they were mock at the time with Insolences, and so we did. And then after a few months, Lo said he wanted to step down, and we grabbed Zane. So that's basically it. And we go from mock to take 2, and now take 3.
Why is that, by the way?
Interesting.
Take 3?
Apparently it's like copywritten or trademarked or something. Take 2
Yeah.
is
Take Two
copywritten.
Interactive is a very large.
So
game
I'll be
community.
making my quitting tweet soon. And
Are you sure? Yeah. Okay.
As long as you come back immediately,
Back.
don't need
Just
some
keep
up and down.
announcing a new team every week. Just take 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, we just
Yeah, that'd
new
be really
iterations.
good.
Quinn said fifth times the charm and stuff. Like, just keep making new like. Although it's a lot of logos to make, so try to make it like spaced a little bit.
If you guys can pay for a new logo every time, that would be great.
Right.
You'd be my favorite team at that point.
Ridiculous.
That was okay. That's interesting. I want to know did you want to make a name for yourself? You said that in November you thought you were a god, right? So was that always the plan from the get-go with Rocket League? Did you always want to make a name for yourself in the scene or go pro? What was your plan with Rocket League? Was it just have fun or?
No, that wasn't the plan at all. It was mainly like a pub stomp thing, you know? Like, oh, I'm a god. I can carry any solo standard team, and then, which in reality I never actually did. I just thought I was the best, just like everybody else. Blame your teammates, you know?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. But yeah, I never really had the intention to go pro or anything. I was just playing for fun, and it filled my day, basically.
Right, so you got into pro teams because Quinn first asked you, then Low5 asked you,
Yeah,
So that just kind of happened.
it was mainly just like well, Quinn I found in a solo standard game and I added him after.
And you carried him because he was one of your teammates.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And then low, I played twos with a lot, just like adding people and playing twos mainly, like
Yeah.
helped people.
I remember way back I saw, I don't know, it must have been Lo-Fi's stream, and I saw you on his stream. That's probably the first time that I saw Rizzo, and I was like, who's this guy? He's garbage. Wait, he's probably one of these guys who thinks
You
he's
mean
carrying a
absolute
solo
rubbish?
standard.
I think would be the exact phrasing.
He's rubbish. What a rubbish player. But no, I want to know, who did you look up to at the start? Like, who were your, Rocket League idols, if there were any? Like, whose play did you try to copy and, bring into your own game?
I didn't actually know that there were any like pros for Rocket League until like a few months down the line after I'd gotten the game, and I saw Kronovi's stream for like 5 minutes and then I left, but he ended up hosting Cucks, and then I watched Cucks for a while, and I fell in love. I didn't really try to emulate his playstyle too much though, which was the odd thing. I just loved watching him play.
I think a lot of us can agree on watching Cookser play. It's something pretty remarkable. But I mean, I'm sure you had that like epiphany moment where you were just sitting there playing. You're like, all right, I realize that I am better than almost everybody I play with. But then when you team up, it just brings it to another level. Like, was there certain things like once you hit that level that you realized, okay, these are the things I need to do to get better, or did you just keep playing and it kept happening naturally? Was there any like moments where you physically were like, I need to do stuff to make myself that next tier? Like, I'm already in the top percentage, but I need to bring it to another level.
I don't think about it like all too much. I just constantly kept playing, but I know now I try to like mess with dribbling a bit more than like I would previously do. Like there was a phase where I would do like air dribbles a bunch, and then like it was just basically a step-by-step thing, and then I'd see somebody do something cool and I'd be like, oh, I want to learn that, and I would try it and stuff like
Is that ongoing as well? Does that still happen?
Yeah, yeah,
Something
I'm
cool.
still trying to learn how to dribble. I can't do it. I usually just mess up like 90% of the time.
So everybody in chat, okay, you hear Rizzo, who, if you guys watch this weekend, had an absolutely insane series. Like, you guys played out of your freaking minds against G2. Like you clear MVP of that series. I don't care what anybody says, but you went freaking off. But yet you say you can't dribble. All right. So for any aspiring Rocket League players out there, understand that even the best of the best, like the guys that are at the top, and in my opinion, guys that are looking pretty well poised to be number one in NA for a little bit. Exodus might give you guys some fun too, but even you don't think you're good enough at some things, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, you'll hear like every player say, "Oh, I suck," but like in the grand scheme of things, they don't suck at all. But in that certain moment, they feel like they messed up really bad or something.
Yeah, because all you see is
they probably did because they have their own standards and stuff. So when there is a mistake that's like really bad, it's memorable for sure.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to know actually, we didn't have this question written down, but I remembered one tournament that you did play with. It was a Seismics tournament where Mike was drafting his team. What was it called? Titans Coliseum, I think it was called.
Yep.
And Mike picked you pretty early. I mean, he picked Scrub Killer first, and then he picked you second. What was your experience of that tournament? Because you got a chance to play with Mike and with Scrub, and that was the first time that I'd really seen you play actually in like a high level gameplay situation, and I was like, man, this team's gonna crush it. They're not gonna lose to anybody. They got Mike and Scrub, and Rizzo's like doing great, like fitting right in there. But I want to hear your thoughts on that tournament.
That one was definitely like the most memorable, like some of the most fun I've had because it was like somewhat serious, but it was like all in good fun at the same time. Like
it's never 100% serious with Mike. I don't care who you ask.
Yeah.
Like it's not always works.
Yeah, it was really relaxed and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think at the time I don't really remember. I was playing with Scrub quite a bit. I would play twos with him a lot. So maybe Mike told him to pick me. I don't actually know because I don't think Mike knew who I was at all back then.
Do you think it was Scrub Killer
I I
getting you
think
in there?
so because I
It's
I
fair.
didn't know Mike even knew my name.
Because I don't remember who else was available, but it wasn't like you were last pick at all.
Yeah,
Mike just
well,
kind of came in there. It was like Rizzo was up for auction, and Mike just came in there with a high bid, and everybody was like, "Oh, well, okay, he's yours, Mike." And then they won the tournament, so that was pretty good
yeah,
showing.
because he got scrubbed for like super cheap, and everybody
He
was super
did, yeah,
surprised. So Mike
yeah.
literally got a free pick at that point. He could just choose anybody he wanted.
Oh yeah, he just had more money than everybody left.
Yeah, in the second
Yeah,
round.
that's right. I remember.
Just going to show that capitalism wins yet again, boys. Like, hey, look how much money I
You-
have. Dibs. Like, it's terrible.
It's funny. You said that Mike. You don't think Mike knew you, but you knew Mike. I take it because everybody knows
Yeah,
Flipside.
yeah.
And I want to know right now, who are you kind of looking at in the pro scene, like to try and steal ideas from? You said that you're still trying to look for cool things and copy them, add them to your own play, which is good. But are there any like players specifically that every time they're streaming, you're just like, oh, I've got to see this, or you want to like watch what they're up to, see what crazy thing they come up with that you can steal. And stealing is
Um,
not, I'm not saying stealing in a negative context. That's a good thing. Pro players should be stealing.
Should be trying to emulate others.
not not all too much. Well, I mean, not really like watching it stream wise, but definitely like when I see them in game or something and I see what they do, I'll like try to look at it and say, "How did you do that? You got so lucky," or something like that. Um, but people who just annoy me when I play against them, so like Garrett or Pluto, like those two for sure. I wonder how they're even human at
What is it that
times.
they do that
Well,
makes it like superhuman?
Pluto wins every single 50-50, so it's super frustrating.
Hmm.
And I don't know how he does it. I've asked him, how do you win every
He's
50-50?
super.
And
He's
he
super
said, I
tall,
don't
man.
know, man.
He's super tall
Yeah.
and just swats it back down. That's all.
And he's just like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Doesn't even think
Garrett
about it.
nails every redirect.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Some crazy stuff, and it's unbelievable to think about how young some of those guys are. Like Garrett, especially. Like, he's such a young guy, and you see how good he plays already. Like, his air game is just unbelievable. Like you said, he hits pretty much every redirect. It's something that he's kind of gotten known for, and yet it's just starting. Like, I try to think about long term and stuff too. Like, how good is a player like that going to become? How good is someone like yourself going to become in the future? Is that something that you guys ever like ponder about? Like, the next step? Like, what do you think? I guess to kind of be more specific, so it's not so broad. What do you think the next step in like the Rocket League gameplay is gonna experience? Like, is it gonna be people practicing like drifts better? Is it gonna be like, what do you think it is?
I think the way threes is played right now, people are going to start pre-flying for things a lot more
Hmm.
into passes. I think that for sure is going to start happening. I mean, you already see there is one shot in RLCS where Exodus did it. Garrett had like a little tip air
Oh
dribble
god,
and
that little
turtle
flick
finish.
at the end was so stupid. It was so dumb. I'm like, did he just? Because I was commentating that game, and like he was sitting there and he was up in the air. I'm like, oh god, this guy's gonna come up contest and get it, and then he just flicks his nose up a little bit, like a little like pinball, like a little paddle, just taps it right over the top, and Turtle's still
Yeah.
able to, who's already up in the air, able to recorrect and get another goal. Like, it was just dumb, so stupid.
Yeah, it's crazy. In the qualifiers for RLCS, like before the top 64, I'm sure there were a lot of teams who are in groups now who were pre-flying for a lot of things. Because I know we did it quite a bit. We would just be like, "Oh, I'm up, hit me," and like the other team really can't do anything. And I mean, we nailed like two or three of them, but doing it in like an actual game against uh, worthy. Oh God, that was a bad word. That wasn't the right word.
Well, I mean,
Worthy
you're
opponents.
not
Worthy
worthy of our
opponent.
excellent play. Like,
Yeah,
what does
yeah,
this
not
guy
the
think
right word there.
he is?
Just better opponents.
You're not
Like,
worthy of us.
They're
taking
all
it,
those
Greg. We're
cars
gonna
are on the
pre-jump
ground just
everything.
looking. Yeah, all those guys are on the ground just looking up, not able to aerial. They're like, we're not worthy. As you guys are flying over, I can see it. Worthy's a good word. Oh man, terrible, terrible.
You mentioned that, just playing the game. Well, I'm inferring that playing the game a lot was one way that you got so good, and looking at what other people do in games against you, what else do you do to improve? Because I know a lot of people will be wondering, how can you improve? And everybody says in their stream, just play the game. But is there anything in particular that you would like to tell people besides playing the game a lot? What do you need to do to improve your own play?
Oh man. Um,
I can help you with this.
the reason why people say just play the game is because that's what they've done. Like another way would be to enter every open tournament possible to play against better opponents, but that's still just playing the game.
So maybe perhaps while you're playing, because playing the game is a good answer to that
Right.
question. You just have to play a game a lot. But what are you doing while you're playing the game? Because you're not just autopiloting,
Right.
like reading something in the other monitor. What are you doing while you're
Yeah.
playing that
Well,
helps you improve?
If you are like really trying to improve, you can actually use your brain a bit more, realize what you're doing wrong every time you get scored on, even if your teammate whiffs, you can definitely blame yourself or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people tend to just blame their teammates for everything. That's always the wrong attitude to go for if you're trying to improve yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you probably just missed a shot like 6 seconds ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, shout out to your streamers. For all people who haven't seen Rizzo's stream, if you watch him, he's critiquing himself as he's playing. In every game, he'll say, "Oh, that was a good idea," or "I should have done this," or "I was expecting my teammate to do this." And it's a really good way to, like, I guess if you're a less experienced player, to go and watch and see the decision-making process that happens in other players, and just being able to, like, look at what you're doing as a decision. Everything you do in that game is just a bunch of decisions linked together that, if it's the right ones, you'll get a goal, and if not, you get.
I mean, the fact of the matter is,
Sure,
Rizzo
but-
doesn't really pay attention to the game. He's just looking at chat to rate the memes. Look at his game screen. He just plays Rocket League in his peripheral vision and reads chat the whole time.
Yeah, I'm not even playing actually. It's just replays. Just nobody's noticed yet.
As much as you want to improve,
Pre-recorded.
you gotta have the effort. Can't just want it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yo, do you gonna say something else?
I was just gonna say with it's not just wanting it, or how you said that, because a lot of people will just play for 30 minutes and give up. You can't just do that. I mean, it's gonna take a lot of time as well as thinking about what you're doing.
Which, I mean, that coincides with play the game. The more and more you play it,
Right.
the more time you put in, which it's a giant circle of Rocket League life, just how it works.
All right, Rizzo, my man.
What's up?
So,
you guys are
after our
boys
streams
now?
are cool, and yeah, dude, Rizzo's a homie, man, right? Rizzo, please.
After he
All
treated
right,
you, Rizzo?
yeah. I'm a homie.
No.
Is that even a question? What is this?
After Orange Creamsicle and you ended up making a team with Low 5, that led to Low 5 stepping down, and you guys, like, what was your perspective of getting rid of Low and bringing in Saint Jackie? How do you feel? Did you think that was an improvement? How did you feel at the time when Low said, "I don't want to play anymore"?
Well, I mean, at the time, at the time that happened, I was also not wanting to play, and Lo said, "Hey, we're going to do Rocket Royale this weekend with Zane," and I was like, "Yeah, that's fine, go do that." And he's like, "No, I meant with you. You're playing." And I was like, "Oh, well, I don't want to," and I ended up just playing anyway, and I guess it worked. But like,
It worked? That's your reaction of how you guys played? It worked? Like,
it worked.
Yes.
Yeah.
those
Why
series
didn't you
were pretty
wanna
crazy,
play?
man. Yeah, like, what made you...
Why didn't you want to play with, or when Low 5 said, "Oh, we're going to play with Zane," and you're like, "Oh, thank goodness, yes, go ahead."
Yeah,
What
why were
was
you
it that was making you
relieved?
not want to play at that moment?
Wait, what was that? Sorry. I missed
Why
that.
were you
Why-
relieved
Why
that...
were you wanting to step or not play when Low 5 was also not wanting to play? You said you were not wanting to play at the same time. I'm just curious, why was that exactly?
Where was the motivation, my man?
I didn't have any, dude. I don't know. I just lost it.
Were you unhappy
Do you think
with the
it's-
game? Unhappy with yourself, maybe?
I really don't know.
We just...
I couldn't tell you.
Would
I
you
just
say
didn't want to play.
you just burnt
The
out?
thing-
The game itself didn't...
That's fair.
I wasn't really burnt out of it, but I never considered myself as like a pro player. I just considered myself like a Rocket League streamer. Right?
Mm.
So as like being a Rocket League streamer, I thought that pro play was getting in the way because I would spend all this time streaming and then I have to get back on for scrims, and then the next day we had a tournament and it was like, oh my god, I'm sitting in my room for 12 hours playing this game every single day.
Yeah.
And it just got, I guess I was burnt out then, right?
Yeah, it was burnt out.
Yeah.
Understandable, man. Definitely.
So I guess that leads really well.
As well.
Yeah, that leads into another question then. So, I mean, obviously there's good outlets of how to break that up. The main way I do it is by just playing other games or just doing anything that's not the same thing that's repetitive, even if I'm still streaming. But you're back now. Obviously, you're playing again. What changed? Like, what made you want to come back? Is it because you've seen the amount of time and effort you can put can lead to a career, or like what is the factor that says, hey, Rizzo's back to play and take names?
There were a lot of things. When I went to RLCS and I saw everybody playing, I was kind of jealous, and I thought it was really cool. I was like, dang, I was one game away, but Genesis slayed me.
Quinn, any comments on that?
Perfect score. The perfect score.
I mean, I'm just the Mock Slayer, man.
The Mock Slayer.
He is.
What can I say, dude?
Quinn, the Landboy Mock Slayer.
Yeah.
No, but you guys are really close, though. So, like, that.
Oh, I know. You don't have to tell me.
But he's going to because he's the Mock Slayer and he wants to remind you. Like,
Yeah.
Sorry, man. Just gets late.
Savage, dude. Oh, man.
Yeah.
But that was actually. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. When I left, Zane and Insol were like looking for new teams. I couldn't tell if they were staying together. Insol was going to join a team with Classics. I don't know what Zane was doing. I think he was going to go to Genesis. But they're both like, please come back. I don't want to play with anybody else. I swear that was said. I'm not kidding. Well, at
I'm
least
not
Insol
surprised
said it.
at all by that. That
At
is
least
exactly
Insol
what I expected.
Well, you guys also got along really well, huh? You had a good relationship as a team? Mates?
Yeah, it's, there's some people who would just like play with the player for a week and then kick them for Gambit, but like Zane and Insol wouldn't do that.
Oh my word. Oh, get roasted.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Whoa.
I can't say anything, dude. Too much shit.
Wow.
Too much shit.
Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, you did have something good going from the start. It's like the honeymoon period, right? Because from the beginning, like the Zane, Jackie, Rizzo synergy was insane. It was insane, right?
Oh no, Zane cringes every time somebody says that.
Oh, that's even better. Thank you for letting me know.
Oh wait, no, I messed up. I mean, he loves it.
But yeah, why do you think that worked out so well? And did you expect it to work out that well?
Not at all. I didn't expect it to work out that well. I figured we would do fine because I think at the time, oh no, Rocket Royale was just 16 teams, right? I don't know. Okay, yeah, I figured we would like get through a little bit. I don't really remember the format at all, but I didn't expect to like.
There was international finals, and you beat 3 teams at international finals. Like you beat Flipside and Northern. We did Girls. It was back then.
Well,
yeah, you beat the big 3. I'm pretty sure. No, you didn't play Market. I don't think.
The thing is, like, I'm happy that we beat them, but there was a ping difference, and I'm not gonna act like it wasn't there.
Well, I mean, either way though, I watched those games, and it looked like the goals you guys were scoring were like really good team goals.
They were crisp.
Like
they were.
It doesn't
on
matter
point.
how good your ping is when people are passing the ball that well. It looked like you were a well-oiled machine. Like, did it just feel natural and just did it just happen? Was the synergy just there from the start?
I think it just happened because at the time our comms were like really basic. I don't know. We didn't really develop anything. We were just like, go. Zane.
Go.
Just bang.
Zane, be ready.
Like,
Be ready for anything.
Yeah, it really wasn't. It just kind of worked. Everything was
Had you played with Zane Jackie before?
No,
Much.
not at all. That was my first time
Not at all.
talking and playing with them.
Wow.
dang.
Not even like ranked games. That's amazing. But that does happen sometimes. There's that honeymoon period. Everything works out, but then we talked about this, or we touched on it rather. It didn't all go well, because RLCS group stage came around, which you qualified for pretty handily. But then week 1, because it was only a 2-week group stage format, unlike this time around, and you just completely beaned week 1.
Beaned it.
Genesis beamed you guys 4-1, and it was not looking good. You nearly made the comeback. Week 2 went so well that you nearly made it in anyway, despite a terrible week 1. But where did it all go wrong? Why do you think the synergy that you had previously didn't carry into the RLCS group stage?
You know, it was really weird because we didn't. Okay, so the first week we scrimmed like every day for like 3-4 hours, and we were like always together and stuff. And then we got to game day, and I don't know if we were like burnt out. I really don't think we were, but we just played horrible. And so like our spirits were down, and we didn't really talk to each other or scrim. I think we scrimmed for like an hour the day before the second week, and then we absolutely like destroyed
Interesting.
the other teams. Yeah, it was weird.
Well,
I don't know.
There's something to say about there's something to be said, excuse me, about overplaying, like over practicing even. You know,
Yeah, it's definitely something.
Sometimes when you just try too hard to get into like that focused game phase type like ruthlessness or whatever that you want to go into tournaments with, like ready to just wreck anyone, you just end up kind of burning out a little bit, or even you play so much that you start to even become more unsure of yourself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Overthink things, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But yeah. On to the next.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple of questions. Kind of sum up. We got a couple left. Kind of get to the end here, but so you before like Insol and Zane were looking for a teammate again that. And you heard, quote, you know, I don't want to play with anybody else but you. Did you have ideas of coming back after? Because obviously the LAN, it seems like, because I mean, you were at the LAN, you enjoyed it, I hope. I mean, we had a lot of fun, but I mean, it made you, you know, aware, I guess, of where this is kind of going, kind of gave you a taste of, you know, I could be up there, I could be doing that. As soon as that hit, were you like immediately, okay, I got to go back to the old team, we got to try this again? Or were you looking at other teams? Like what, I mean, overall, like what was your process of coming back? You know, was it always going to be the old Macadene?
Yeah, I didn't actually think about ever joining a different team. If I was going to come back, it was going to be with Zane and Insol, unless they had already found people. I don't know. I don't know if I
So
was
were you
gonna say
glad
anything.
that they
think I
asked you?
lost.
Were you expecting them to ask you to
I
come
didn't.
back?
Well, they didn't. They asked me to. Okay, so they said, Insult said, I don't want to be on a team with anybody else. And then like 3 weeks later, I texted him and I was like, "We want to get back together?"
No.
Sad face, tear-face,
Oh,
like.
that's cute.
And he was like, "Yes, I'm so happy." I was like, "Hold on,
Oh.
let me sleep on this decision, and I'll tell you tomorrow." And he said, "No, please don't sleep on it." And
That's a real businessman right there. He's getting the answer that he wants and then hanging up.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on it. Just give me the yes, and then I'm gonna end the call. So you do it.
It's awesome. But
And
that's
I've
good.
actually
I mean,
got. Sorry, go ahead, Lawler.
I'm sure that gives you guys confidence though too, like knowing I can leave. I go to the LAN. I have a kind of a train of thought of, okay, maybe I do want to come back into this. This is awesome. You don't even question what other team you want to go to, and the team that you want to go to is your old teammates, and they're instantly like, yes, please come back. Like having that confidence in team that's just waiting for you, ready to go. Like that's got to give you guys some kind of morale booster, like mental game boost.
Yeah, it's definitely way easier to play with if you're like actually friends with your teammates. I know when I was on Orange Dreamsicle, I didn't really know Quinn or Ed, and they were kind of intimidating, so it was really hard for me to
That was intimidating?
Ed was, at least.
Tell us
I mean,
all
I was
about
so
Quinn.
nice
No,
to you, actually.
no.
I was actually so nice to
Tell
you.
us-
Yeah, but
tell
you
us
were
all about
really,
Quinn.
you
Should
had
I add a part 3 to this interview where you can just jab at Quinn? Like, let's get to know Quinn. Like,
Oh my god.
the backstabber.
The backstabber,
Quinn,
dude, no.
Quinn, the mock
back-
slayer,
Dude, I
landboy
could just
backstabber.
I could just sense the mocking you from the beginning, dude. So it's just prepping
Sen-
you to get slayed.
Oh.
Sends me off,
Prepping
sends
you
me
to
off,
get slayed.
puts me on a new team just to slay me.
Oh wow,
Jeez.
the backstab is real. Yeah, was it
Yeah.
just like Quinn just doesn't shut up? That's probably the biggest problem,
Yeah,
right?
he's Very.
Oh, okay.
He would criticize everything, like in the middle of a
You
game.
told me to. You were like, help me
No.
improve. Yes. Yes, I remember.
Okay, not like in the middle of a tournament. In the middle of a tournament?
What?
Come on, dude.
No, okay.
Johnny, what
this
have you
is-
done?
This is hearsay, dude.
Yes.
Johnny, the
You don't
instigator.
That's like rule number one.
He's
You don't
turning
say-
us. He's turning us IO gamers against each other.
No.
Rizzo. don't listen to John. Okay.
Rule number one for anybody, like on trying to be a competitive team, you never criticize mid tournament or mid important match of your life. You know,
This is
just don't
true.
do it.
This is true. A lot of people need to learn that.
Yep. If someone misses a hit, they probably know they missed that hit. Mechanical issues happen.
Just talk to him after.
Yep. Do you think you should talk after the game immediately or after the entire like series? Like play your match and then discuss after, or in between games?
In between games can work, but you can't say, "Hey, you messed up." You say, "We need to do this."
Yes, that's so important. The
boy.
pluralization makes such a difference, doesn't it? Just saying we
Yeah.
need to do this, we need to play more aggressive, we need to be faster in the air. It just
Yeah.
takes away the personal aspect of it and, makes it so much less toxic. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Chat talking about everything getting lost in translation.
When like Google translating all of his
You
advice.
know, Rizzo is the worst fucking guest, dude.
I love
Didn't you expect this?
Dude,
'Cause I was waiting for it. I was waiting for my moment.
It's beautiful.
Awesome.
Oh no, I'm having a
Awesome.
good time. I'm having a good time.
Awesome
There's
stuff,
one before we completely forget where we were. We were just talking about the fact that you took a step back from the pro scene and now the only team you wanted to play with was Zayn and Insol when you're back together now. But this might sound like a weird question, but have you ever seen Good Will Hunting, the film? It doesn't. It's not
no.
really important that you have. I'll explain the concept anyway, just for the people in chat who haven't seen it. But it's about this guy who is a genius, and he's working in a construction site with his buddies, and he's literally a genius.
He works-
You can
he
just
works
look
as
at a
a-
book.
He gets in trouble.
What-
He
what
works
does he
as a
work at?
janitor for a university.
Oh yeah, you see, he works as a janitor, and he's solving equations on blackboards in the hall just for fun, and equations that nobody else has solved. But the concept that I'm trying to get a hold of here is he had something in that film that his friends didn't have. He had the chance to do something with his intelligence, and he didn't want to, and he felt like it wasn't on him to make that decision. He was quite happy just living his life. In that, it's a really good film actually. Everybody should go watch it. But anyway,
Phenomenal.
I'm gonna
movie.
put you in his shoes. You've got the talent. You've got what a lot of people all over the world want. They've, a shot to make a career out of pro gaming. And I know you already mentioned streaming is one of the reasons you want to step back. You see yourself as a streamer first. But in Good Will Hunting, his best friend told him, "You don't need to do this for yourself. You need to do it for me, because I would do anything to have what you have." And I'm sure that lots of people would tell you that they would do anything to have the opportunity that you have to go pro and to see what happens. I want to know, have you thought about it like that before? Just like, because I know sometimes I feel so lucky. I take a step back and I'm like, I am actually just so lucky to do what I do. And I'm sure you do as well. What I want to hear your thoughts on this topic. Does that make sense? It's a bit of a weird hypothetical, but hopefully it's made some sort of sense to you.
So what was the question? After
Kind
all
of
of it?
quick rephrase. So there's a lot of
Yeah,
people.
Lawler,
There's
take it.
there's millions.
Summarize.
There's 20 million people that have the game, right?
Right.
There's tons of them. You're in the. We'll put roughly 30 people. Say here or there. It's going to vary based on what teams make it in. But you're one of like 30 people that have the chance to make this an actual true living. You can make Rocket League a career. Despite that, you chose to step back for a little bit. But you've also come back. Like, have you ever thought of that from an outside perspective of, even though having that opportunity, you were still willing to give it up despite knowing, or maybe not knowing, or thinking in that aspect that all these other people wish they could be in your shoes? What does that kind of opportunity mean to you, and vice versa?
I've never, like Johnny said, I've never really taken a step back and thought about it. I realize the position I'm in, but it's hard to know when you're in it, I guess to say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm sorry.
Do you owe it to your fans? You know, all of the Rizzo fans who were so sad when you stepped down.
There's quite a few of them memeing in chat right now.
There,
Like,
there
I
was
love
there was one dude I talked at the LAN, and he said something along the lines of, "I'm gonna miss rooting for you when you play, but I'll support you no matter what."
Oh,
damn,
And
dude.
I kind of was like, "Oh, I feel bad," because now that actually made me want to play like competitive again when I heard that. Like I said, there was a lot of reasons why I wanted to play competitive again, just like a lot of small reasons.
mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, when I heard him say
You
that,
thought
I
about
was
it a
like,
lot, right? You know, it sounds like you thought about it a lot. Being a pro gamer or not being a pro gamer, and you've already said that you got burnt out. That's one of the reasons you wanted to step back. You
yeah,
wanted to focus more on streaming, and but you owe it to your fans, and you want to be part of that LAN experience. You said that there was a
Which is
little bit of
great, by
jealousy
the way.
there.
I can tell you as
Oh
a
yeah,
fanboy. It
oh,
was
can you quit?
incredible.
Quinn just trying to burn the bridge, which is already just a cinder block. It's all that's left.
He's
Burning
actually
the
like
truck
the
where the
like
bridge
railings are up, and and Rizzo's just sitting there holding that last string to keep it together, but he's holding scissors in his other hand, and he's just waiting for it, man. Like, what are you trying to do?
Dude, I'll snip it myself.
What?
I'm joking.
But what are you
Um,
gonna do to, balance all of that out now? Because you've seen it from both sides, right? You've retired and now you're back with Take Three. So what are you gonna do to balance it out, prevent yourself from getting burnt out? Try and do what you can to give back to those fans who are supporting you and encouraging you and cheering for you. Like, where is the balance for Rizzo?
I've already. Well, before what I would end up doing is I would wake up in the morning and I would like force myself to stream for like 6 hours a day. I'd be like, yeah, 6 hours, that's a good amount. And then and then I would go later throughout the night and I would scrim for like 2, 3 hours. And
Mhm.
then when we absolutely got decimated that first weekend, I was like, I played this much for that. I was really upset,
Mhm.
and I've already stopped streaming as much. I don't force myself to go longer than I want to anymore, which
Mhm.
was like the main problem. Um,
That's good to hear. Yeah.
I I started to fix my sleep schedule too because every time I mess up my sleep schedule, I just like get really upset. I don't know why. I just feel like
Really?
I'm wasting a lot.
I'm so proud of myself when I mess it up. I'm like, oh yeah, done it
What?
again. Check me
There's two
out.
types of
No,
people in this
Australian sleep
world.
schedule one day, American the next day, back to EU, just missing days left and right now. I'm not really proud, honestly. It's a
Johnny
bit of a
boy,
shame.
back at it again with the wrong sleep
I have to.
schedule.
I
Killing
kind of
it,
have
Johnny.
to. I kind of have to because I have to work with people from all over the world. But yeah, that's interesting. The sleep schedule aspects of it. Like, I feel like that is actually step one for, like, let's say if I was managing a team, let's say I was managing Take Three, that would be the first thing that I would do if they were in a team mess together. Sleep schedule. Number one thing to fix. Then like fix, I don't know, diet. Try and get people eating healthy. Then like, going to the gym and stuff. Like, you've got to start with the sleep schedule, I think. So you're doing a good job on that one.
yeah, it would be fine for quite a bit, and then like one night I'd like mess it up and sleep for like 14 hours, and I'd be like, how does this happen?
You'd sleep for 14 hours.
Yeah.
That's impressive. How do you not wet the bed? 14 hours.
I'm not a child, Johnny.
That's a long time. Oh, you're not? Okay.
No.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
So mean. That's good though, because and that's for a lot of people out there. They realize, okay, I've got a viewership. I'm maintaining a bunch of viewers, so they just keep going until they burn themselves out. And it's good for you to realize that those guys, if they really want to be there, they'll be there. So why not stop, take a break, come back refreshed, because it's gonna make their experience better, and it's gonna make you keep doing it. So having that, it's not even like self-control, I would say, but it's being self-aware more so of knowing what future tense and what the consequences can be if you keep going over and over again. So
Yeah.
Having that kind of stuff is really smart, finding a balance or sticking to a schedule, like, hey, I'm going to stream only 8 hours today. 2 hours is going to be this, 2 hours is going to be this. I'm going to take a lunch at this time and I'll do viewer games, and then I'll do this and this. Like, having that kind of preset, it does get into a routine, which kind of sucks, but it does help keep your sanity, to be completely honest. Because there'll be days where it's like, all right, I'm playing, and then all of a sudden, someone gives me a host, and it's like, yeah, why not? We'll go for another couple hours. And then that keeps happening.
That's the worst
and then all of a
thing.
sudden you stream for 15 hours, and you're like, I forgot to do literally everything I was supposed to today, because I was supposed to be done literally 7 hours ago. Like, so keeping to a schedule despite what happens during the day is very important. And it's smart that you, even though you took a very, I guess, small step back, like time-wise, it wasn't that much of time, but it was important. That in that short period of time, you realized what was important to you and to keep you, and allowing you to keep doing what you're doing.
Do you have any advice on that note for any aspiring pro gamers, both young and old, and also aspiring Twitch streamers? Because I know a lot of people are trying to get into streaming. So what would you say to those people? Firstly, pro gamers. Any advice for them? And then secondly, people who want to grow their stream.
Well, if you're a pro already, it's fairly easy to grow your stream. I mean, any player who made group stages can start their stream now and average like 300 viewers within a week or so. Probably, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, for just trying to stream or whatever, keeping a schedule is really nice. Like, you're sleeping and eating and all that, and even your stream schedule as well, because the same viewers will know, hey, this guy's streaming at this time, I can come back, I can have my lunch. I know people in my stream say I'm watching a stream during my lunch break, and it's like the same guy every day. I know there's like 3 people who do that, if I stream, that is.
I'm sure more than 3 people in your stream have lunch, dude.
Maybe.
It's crazy. I mean, eventually it's some of the fans. Like, I have a guy, what's his name? Goes by like Omer or something like that. He watches me on his way home from work, and I'm like, I hope you're not driving. Like hopefully, like, you're on a subway or something, like commuting or something. But I mean, you get those guys that are really committed to it, and that's the benefit. I mean, if I watch a TV show every week, I want that TV show to be the same time every single week. So yeah, consistency is huge. Treat it like a TV show. Really smart. What about for like the young generation, people that aspire to be pro gamers, or even older players that try to aspire to be pro players? People that are kind of looking up to you. Any advice for them?
Ooh.
They just quit school.
That's a tough one, because people have a schedule to keep, and I don't. Like, people have school and work and all that, and I'm just sitting here. I have all the free. I have all
Feels
the free
good, man,
time in the
right?
world.
Are you rocking back and forward in your chair?
So what I'm hearing is you're gonna
Left
join
and
us
right,
in
okay.
playing WoW, right? That's what I heard. Like,
Wait, what was that?
you're gonna sit back and do nothing. Might as well play WoW with us too, right? Like, now you got time. Just don't play with Quinn. He'll just use you as a backpack and let you die as you tank damage for him. It's terrible.
Every save PMT.
Yeah, Quinn tried to get me to buy WoW.
Dude,
actually.
backpack main tank. It's me, your boy, taking damage as you
should
run.
just go watch.
It sucks.
Everybody in the stream should just go watch the VOD from last night.
It's so dumb. No. We spent like 45 minutes jumping in circles doing 360s and shit. It was so stupid. Oh man.
Are we going to
wait.
the? Oh, go ahead.
This dude in your chat made a good point. He said, "Don't be toxic." I feel like, well, I know this is just a fact. People in lower elos are probably more toxic just because they don't run into the same people consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're at a higher elo, you kind of constantly run into people, and you don't want to create that image for yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the rare few, but
Are you more or less toxic off stream? Do you just like turn the stream off and then become a monster and start rinsing
Yes.
people in the chat?
I just
do that.
start yelling nonstop.
So you're the opposite of
Full
Scrub. Scrub's
raid.
like savage
No.
online, but then he comes in person. He's the cutest little Scottish kid you've ever met. Like,
Honestly,
super
I've heard
polite.
so many people say that they hold it all back on stream. That as soon as the stream goes off, they're just like, like one teammate misses the ball, and they're just like, I'm done, and they just rage quit. Yeah.
No, that's definitely true. I'm definitely more relaxed on stream. I can't. I mean, I don't know. Some days are better than others.
Oh
Yeah.
God. Well, I think it's okay to like have frustrations at the
Yeah,
game. That's
I don't.
definitely okay, but don't do your best to avoid taking out people. And like, I mean, dude, if someone pisses you off, like a teammate, if you rage at home and nobody's watching, nobody can see you, like that's fine. Don't like go into chat and be like, "Oh, you fucking idiot!" Like, I hope you
Yeah,
die. And I
if
hope
you
you
want to win the
No,
computer.
that's.
game, don't say anything. If you want to have a better chance to lose the game, then yeah, tell them what they did wrong.
Like,
Middle of
it's
the
definitely
game.
okay to be frustrated. Don't get that confused. Just don't take it out on people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one thing I want to get your opinion on, Riz, is what are your thoughts on like, say, I always get a lot of people criticizing me in chat. It's like, why are you being so toxic? Because I'll be streaming sometimes my own games and I'll vocalize to my stream something like I'll get really mad in voice, but I don't say anything in game in text chats. So my teammates most likely not going to be affected at all. I don't know if that's something you ever do. Like, what do you think about that dynamic? Are you allowed to be, a rager out loud as long as you keep it clean in the text?
I think as long as you laugh after it, you're
Yeah.
fine. But yeah, just the other day I was literally screaming at my teammate, like on
Yeah.
stream too. But
Yeah.
like I didn't actually say anything that would have upset anybody or even him. I was just laughing it off.
Yeah.
Um,
It's good to let it
just-
out sometimes.
as long as you don't tell him to end his life or something, I think you're good. I think a lot of people who watch streams as well just don't really know what toxic means,
Yeah.
and they'll just kind of
Yeah, they hear you saying something negative, they're like, "Oh, you're toxic." But really,
yeah.
toxic is just being like having a negative impact on your team's chances to win the game
Yeah,
with your
especially if you
attitude.
just type to them.
So if you type nothing, you can't be toxic. And the
Exactly.
only way that they can know that you're saying mean things is if they tune into your stream, then they're probably a viewer, so they probably know your personality, or they
Well,
could probably tell that you're just, just joking around, like you say.
even on stream, you shouldn't just say mean things, but like a nice little yell to let the anger out is always nice.
Yeah, it's also hilarious. It's much more funny. Much more funny to hear somebody getting really frustrated than just going, "Oh, I'm really disappointed that the other team scored. I hope that next time we get the goal." It's way better if you just hear somebody yell.
Yeah, that reminded me of Pluto. Oh man, he's always so calm.
Oh man, I can't
Next
believe
It
time.
he
helps.
scored.
Next
So,
time,
I'm
guys.
really
We're gonna
disappointed.
we're gonna start wrapping this up real quick. I got 3 more questions for you, and I'm gonna hold you to that. The other guys of the show, we're each gonna ask one. I'm gonna ask the first one. Johnny, you can ask the second one. Quinn, you can ask the last one. Sound good?
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
All right. Look at the
baby.
structure. All right. So first question up for you, Rizzo. Out of 3, you guys played G2 and KOU this weekend. What things are you concerned about going into those games? Or things that you kind of like you have a heightened sense towards, like, okay, this team's going to do this. I'm self-aware. This is what's going to go down. Or otherwise, like, hey, we're going to smash them. Like, how do you think those games are going to go against each team? Do G2 and then KOU.
Okay. Well, G2, they definitely weren't playing their best when we played them. They can definitely play better, even if they're just not onliners, as everybody likes to say. But you always have to be confident, because if you're not confident, you have already lost your game or your set or whatever.
Did you watch?
So
Sorry, did you watch the replays of those games, or for your games against G2?
I did. I didn't know Kronovi was trying to demo me for 90%
funny.
of the game until I watched
Yep.
the VOD.
There was
didn't
so
know
many
that.
moments in that VOD. I'm like, what on earth are G2 doing? Like G2, more like free two, right? Another free win coming this weekend, I hope.
Johnny.
Savage.
Johnny boy.
Look like they just got a house together and they're moving in, so they can't watch. Like,
I would say that if they were in the chat talking.
Oh, I know you
All
would.
3 of them.
I can't.
fact,
I'm
I'd
sure
be
the
more
Steam
likely to say
message is already sent, man. Like, I'm not worried about you. So
Alright.
G2, Kronovi, you understand that they didn't play to the best of their ability. Anything else you want to add on top of that?
Not really. I mean, well, if something doesn't work as well, we'll always change it up. Like that should be everybody's game plan. If something's not working, try to change it up. So, I mean, that's what we're gonna try to do.
Okay. And then what about KOU?
Same for them, really.
Okay. Do you think
You think
they?
you're gonna against KOU?
Yeah.
I think they are better than G2, especially at the moment. I mean, they're far more consistent as well.
They also have more Jacobs than G2 do.
That's true. They do have more Jacobs. So maybe we'll just send like a 3-man squad, running full speed at Jacob. See if that works for us.
But are you gonna
like
go
it.
to demo him for 90% of the match?
Maybe 95.
Dang.
Who's to
I like
say?
it.
I like the commitment. That's what I look for in a relationship. It's good, Rizzo. It's good. All right, Johnny, hit him up with the next one.
All right. So you mentioned earlier that your dribbling is terrible. I want to know, what are you doing to fix your dribbling? And does it at all involve practicing 1v1 so that you don't get smashed by Lachinio in a money match?
All right. You know, you can't talk about sensitive subjects like that.
Welcome to That's the Thing, where we talk about sensitive subjects to our guests to put them on tilt. This week, Orange Pickle banter with Quinn.
I really do want to know what you're doing to improve your dribbling, though. Jokes aside.
It's just like a play style change, really. And like, say if I played twos, I don't really play 1v1s, even if I do want to work on dribbling. But
do you think that would be the place to go if you really wanted to focus on dribbling?
Yeah, for sure. There's way more like possession, but I really can't stand 1v1s, so I don't want to bother. Also,
Really?
there's not really like towards threes play. There's not much benefit. Like, I feel like, I mean, there's definitely some.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, your 1v1s won't translate into threes play.
Yeah, it's just those little
Compared to
awkward
how slow they
situations
are.
when you have low boost situations, or like, you know, you lose, your car loses all momentum because you do a 50-50 and both cars just bounce off the ball. Like that's where the 1v1 play like kind of helps, because you need to know how to maneuver with low boost or not much momentum. Yeah, I think ones is probably the way forward, at least. Because when I was watching those ones, I don't know if you watched back the VOD, but you were just rushing everything. It did look like you were playing twos. You know, you were trying to attack quickly because it looked like you thought there was an invisible second player who's trying to recover, and you wanted to get the ball into Lachinio's goal before the invisible second player got back to help him defend. You're like, I'm gonna go fast, and then you would just give the ball to Lachinio all too early.
Yeah, well, I mean, I probably gave the ball to him because I messed up my dribbles so much.
Yeah,
Work on the dribbles.
Yeah, you were just. I think it was just rushed. More
That
patience
too.
needed.
We definitely would get possession. There were a few times where I just like dove at it. But yeah, I mean, contesting is hard in ones.
It is. Yeah, sorry. I'm done roasting. I'm done.
Right.
That's all.
But
Chat
yeah,
clearly isn't.
Chat
definitely isn't, and they're picking Quinn now. Oh my gosh.
Not Quinn.
Oh my gosh. Savage.
Oh man, David, mad dude.
Anyway, Quinn, focus on you. Last
yo.
question you have for Rizzo.
Rizzo, my man. Everybody who wants some more of you and your OC banter and wants to watch you get slayed again, where can they find you?
Can I leave?
I mean, yeah, just after you answer that question, please.
I mean, everybody probably knows where to find Rizzo,
yeah.
but for the one person who lives under a rock.
Twitter, Twitch, what's up? Come on, hit us with it.
Twitch.tv/Rizzo or Twitter.com/Rizzo_TV.
So any cool projects you have in the works, anything like that? Any stuff you're doing on the YouTubes?
Not at all.
Awesome. Keeping it simple. I like it.
I like to hear, dude. That's what I like to hear.
All right, and I know chat has been asking this nonstop. They want to know about RimWorld. Something about a RimWorld stream. Any plans on that?
No, I probably won't be playing RimWorld anytime soon.
All right, you guys.
That's a
from him.
lie.
I've been playing Battlerite. Battlerite's insane.
It is. It's a very good game. But that is going to do it, you guys, for That's the Thing Week 14 with Rizzo, myself, Johnny Boy, and Quinn Lobdell, the backstabber, mock slayer, land boy himself. He's got a lot of titles now. That's all I know. He's racking them up. But Rizzo, thank you again for stopping on the show. Appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself, and we got some good questions out of you. But for those in chat, if there's anything else that you guys want to ask, don't be afraid to tweet at myself or the rest of the guys here, or Rizzo on Twitter, as we mentioned those just now. But that's going to wrap it up for the